Hi, Empress Justice here, and welcome to another pick a card reading here on Empress Justice Tarot. Now, the card selection, I'd like to remind you all that I am still doing tarot services, magical services, and now I have incorporated astrological services. And in order to celebrate, I changed my second channel to Empress Justice Astrology. I already did a 3-part on Quincy Jones on Instagram. Go ahead and check that out. It's a long read, but it's worth it. And I am going to do another video on Empress Justice Astrology pretty soon on the first quarter moon in Dhanishta. But for now, let's focus on the pick card at hand. Oh, before I do that, you can also donate to me if you feel like my services are too expensive. You can donate £5 or more to paypal.me/Empress Justice. All the relevant links will be in the description on YouTube and right here on Instagram. Okay, now let's get to the picker card. Now, the picker card is, what is your personal brand? And yes, I know what a lot of people are about to say. I'm sorry, say what now? Personal brand? But yes, what is your personal brand? I've been watching a content creator called Zoe Unlimited. And what she always says at the end of her video is that branding is not just something for influencers, creators, or, musicians or actors. It's not just about selling something, and it's not just about creating something. Essentially, what is the best foot forward in terms of representing yourself in the best way possible, not only for an audience or to sell something. This is also for your future jobs, your future lovers, your future friends. What kind of friend do you want to communicate yourself to be? What kind of lover do you want to communicate yourself to be? What kind of business person, worker do you want to communicate yourself to be? And her argument is that everything that we put on social media or everything that we do is contributing towards that branding. So what this picker card is about is, what is the core aspect of you that is most likely to gain you favorable friendships, favorable romantic relationships, favorable career, favorable work? What is your brand? What is your best brand? Or as the title of the video says, what is your personal brand? Okay. Now, I've got 4 selections for the major selection. I don't know why I called it the major selection. I started thinking major arcana and then selection, and then it came to major selection. My apologies. But there are 4 cards to choose from, all right? The first card pile is Selenite. The second one is Rose Quartz. The third one is Amethyst. And the fourth one is this lovely rainbow healing pyramid. Now, you may have already picked your pile, and if you have, that's fine. But I'm going to give it a few seconds before I move on to the piles that I'm going to read for, okay? So give yourself about 30 seconds, starting now. And I'm going to take the time to connect with the cards. A tip towards picking for the cards, right? Picking for your pile. The best thing to do when you're picking your pile is to, sorry, let me move this mic up, is to select the first pile that comes into your mind. Select the first pile that you feel connected with, because that's most likely to be the most accurate one. There are going to be piles that you want to get. What I found is that those are usually the piles that you want to perceive yourself as, but we're going for honesty in these readings, right? So your first instinct will probably be your most correct one when it comes to picker cards. It's important to remember that. So I'll give it a few more seconds if you're still having trouble, and then I'm going to get on with the rest of the reading. . Okay. Now selections have been chosen. I'm going to begin with, oh Lord, sorry. I'm going to begin with pile one. This is the Selenite. Okay. Now, let's see what cards we've got for pile one. We have the Six of Cups. We have the Star card. We have the Two of Cups. We have Mart. We have Abonimba, Harvest. And we have Eternal Embrace. Now, before I move on to the meaning of all of these cards, I'm going to read this one in particular because this one is going to be important. Fairness. This situation will be handled in a fair and just manner. So what am I getting for all of these cards right here? Well, what I'm getting from you is that you have a comforting warmth about you. You even have kind of an innocence about you. And I'm not just talking in terms of, how do I put this? I'm not talking in terms of not really knowing anything, because people often mistake innocence and naivety, but they're not the same. Innocence is about internal purity. You know, you could lie 1,000 times and you will be rumbled every time because there's something about you that's intrinsically honest. And I know how that sounds, but yes, there are people in this world who can't fake to save their lives. And on top of that, they have very pure hearts. They assume the best in people. And that is entirely your brand, pile one. Your brand is somebody who's warm, somebody who's comforting, somebody who's innocent, and somebody who's authentic. You have a sort of unconditional compassion for people that never really falters no matter how angry you get. And you have a deep, deep-seated love of justice. Okay? Justice is something that you're very passionate about. You like to ensure that people are fair towards each other and that you are fair towards other people. It is important to you that there is justice in the world. And the fact that there is injustice, it's probably the one thing that makes you truly angry. Sorry, I had to take a drink. You are extremely nurturing and have demonstrated really, really good aesthetic taste. It's just that your tastes are more subtle. You know, they're not colorful or anything, but you know how to turn a good aesthetic. It's just that your style is more understated. It's more grounded. Do you understand what I mean? But overall, the image that I get for you is cupcakes. It's soft, it's sweet, it's inviting, and you never impose yourself on others. You don't insist upon yourself. You know, you don't have an inflated sense of your own ego. You are very kind and devoted, and it's almost in a light-hearted way. The way that you love and care for other people, it makes people feel comfortable to be around you, and it makes people feel like they're actually enjoying themselves on top of that. You know, if I could say one thing for you that might be a little bit of a problem, is that some of you can be a bit flighty. Not all of you, pile one, but some of you. Some of you can be a bit flighty, but you do have like just unwavering kindness. It's just unwavering. You know, in the way that you speak, in the way that you treat people. That's your brand. That is your personal brand. Your personal brand is not necessarily a maternal or motherly figure. It's more, you know, it's a more structured and stable version of the hippie. It's like, imagine if the hippie was more a part of the self-care crowd. That's you. I mean, you're part of the self-care crowd, but unlike some other people who might fit into that, you're not judgmental. You're kind of very, very accepting of other people. You're accepting of people for who they are. You have good boundaries, but the way in which you exercise those boundaries again, you're not rude, you're not disrespectful, you're not even standoffish, you're just very, very kind and very compassionate. You're like, if there's something that you're unable to handle, then you'll let people know, but you won't impose yourself upon people. And I feel like one of the reasons for this is because you can see things from the other side of the equation. I feel like there are some of you who are more integrated with your shadow self than people think. You're integrated with the other part of yourself, the less desirable part of yourself. And some of you may have learned to actually accept that for what it is. So what's left over is this beautiful survivor mentality. Like you have this, not a survivor mentality in terms of, being cynical, but rather it's the opposite. You've lost none of your idealism. You've lost none of your faith in people. In fact, your faith in people may have increased over time. And that it is a rare thing, but it does happen, pile one. It might be that your faith in people has increased over time, which is responsible for your inherent good naturedness. So that's your personal brand. The person that you communicate to your former employees or your former business collaborators is that you are emotionally intuitive and that you're the person who ensures that relations run smoothly, that morale is high. What you're communicating to your future lovers is that you are a safe place. Now, it's not up to human beings to be a safe place. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not encouraging that behavior, but you are a safe place within yourself. So when people come into your space, they feel like it's a safe space too. That's what you're communicating to your future lovers. The only thing that I would say is really continue to reinforce those boundaries in romantic relationships. Don't give way in order to please people. But yes, to former lovers, you communicate that you're a safe space. To former friends, you communicate that you're a wonderful listener, that you actually care for other people, and if people need you, you're right there. But there's something else as well. Some of you may have quite quite a bit of abundance, and I'm not talking about money because most of us are not rich, but I feel like most of you are abundant in ways that maybe some other people are not. And I think one of the very good things about you is that you're very good with your money. Some of you, pile one, some of you are very good with your money, which means that you might not struggle as much with finances as the next person. I feel like your boundaries are strongest when it comes to money. You're the kind of person that will not give or lend people money unless you know it's going somewhere of use. Do you understand what I mean? You have like all these beautiful, light-hearted, romantic ideas everywhere else, but when it comes to your money, you're very much like, no, I need to know where that money is going and what I'm spending it on. And again, as much as I love the people in my life, they are grown adults. It is not my job to say that, yeah, I'll look after you, I'll do this, I'll do that. No. There has to be a good reason as to why you're lending somebody money or why you're giving anything at all. But your gifts are very thoughtful. I'll just say that your gifts are very, very thoughtful. Now, when it comes to these three right here, I get that, yes, there is that innocence. I think there are those of you, pile one, who are very connected with your inner child. You're very connected with, what brought you joy as a young person. And I feel like being connected to that is actually what helps you survive. It actually doesn't hinder your ability to survive. It helps your ability to survive. Let me push that up. It helps your ability to survive. I feel like a lot of you are you're very in touch with your inner child, and it's in a way that's almost unabashed. I feel like branding wise, you have a more intimate brand. And what I mean by that is You have a brand that it feels cozy. It feels like a one-to-one sort of thing. I feel like pile one, if you're not doing content creation, you're doing something like counseling. You might even be a tarot reader like me. You could be um, an advisor of some sort or a volunteer of some sort, but it's something to do with counseling or mediation, something along those lines. You know, you might be doing that. And again, you're communicating to future people in your life that this is who I am. Do you understand what I mean? So, yes, to summarize for pile one, you are light-hearted and you're devoted, but you're not clinging. You're devoted, authentic, innocent, unconditionally loving, but you don't cling. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that you're fiscally responsible. Another thing that you communicate to future people in your life is how responsible you actually are. It's like I said before, you have the energy of a hippie, but it's very, like, the way you live your life is very, very grounded. So what you're communicating to future people in your life is that you're not abrasive, you're not rude. Instead, you are compassionate, well-mannered, you're fair, you're responsible, and you're an excellent listener, which means that when somebody says something to you, they only have to tell you once. And you know exactly what they mean and what they want you to do. So that's what you're communicating. Your personal brand is sweet, nurturing, caring, and light-hearted, but ultimately very, very responsible and very, very fair. Okay? So that's it, pile one. I loved reading for you. So let me know in the comments whether this resonated with you. I hope it did. But yeah, that was for pile one. Peace and blessings. Bye bye now. Okay. If you picked the rose quartz, you are pile two. So we've got the Three of Pentacles, the Hierophant, the Two of Swords, Yamanya, Golden Opportunity, Oya, Storms, and the Real You. You know what? Let me read this and then I'll get back to what I think is going on here. So, Yamanya, important doors are opening for you right now. Walk through them. Okay. Your personal branding is intriguing because you have two very distinct sides. The first side of you is decidedly stoic, highly educated, classy, but the other side of you is electric. There's genius brewing there. Okay. Now you have a powerful aura, pile two. You have a powerful aura, undeniable talent, and a clear passion for your work. It's just that those observing you do your thing, again, there's two distinct sides. There's the stoic side who's well ordered, well organized, and keeps a cool head under pressure. And then there's the side of you that comes out when you're doing something creative. That's the wild side. So there's an air of mystery to your personal branding. You're a confident innovator who is way ahead of your time, and you are highly insightful. Okay. Once again, you have a very, very pronounced intellect. You're very classy. You're very educated. But the thing is that that mysterious, powerful aura that you carry, it can make you kind of intimidating. I won't hold you. It can make you intimidating to people. It really can. This is the thing, right? You're not a snob and you're not even rude. You just don't put up with behavior that is not you believe is not worthy of something higher, you don't put up with that behavior, and people sense that from you. So that's why they, they want to befriend you, they want to get to know you, but you radiate such a powerful presence, even when you don't mean to, that people are a little bit intimidated to talk to you. But trust me, there are people who want to get to know you. At the same time, this is about you finding your personal branding. And what I'm aiming to do here is to actually make that work for you, not turn you away from it. First of all, we have to understand what your powerful aura communicates to other people. It communicates something aspirational to future people in your life. That means either they have to be very accomplished to approach you, very confident to approach you, or both. It cannot be either or. You're quite a tough character. So people have to be tough to approach you. And when I say you're tough, I don't mean that you have a fast mouth and you're able to hurt people's feelings. No, you're tough because you're inwardly strong. You're enduring. Your integrity, you lead with your integrity. So you have an intimidating presence that people really respect. Some people will never admit it, but people really respect that about you. Your personal branding, as a result, can be very aspirational. Like I said before, I think I said that before. Your personal branding can be very aspirational. It's very much like, this is a person that I look up to. This is the person that I'm learning from. This is a person that's teaching me something, even when they're not really teaching people anything or meaning to. Okay? Now let me have a look at this. Now with this right here, this reflects your creative side. Because you're so ahead of your time and you're so confident, when opportunities come up for you to express yourself, you don't hesitate. And it's not even just opportunities for you to express yourself, it's the opportunity to do something related to your passions. Like, there's something about you that when you are about to do something that's related to something that you're passionate about, you don't think twice. And for me, what I feel from you, Pile 2, is that money is not a factor. Okay? I feel like whatever money you gain from the more mundane side of your life anyway. Some of you might be in a relatively, well-paying job, like not high paying, because we're talking about 1% territory in that sense, but those among the 99% that are relatively well paid, and not only relatively well paid, but you're also relatively well educated. Some of you might be degree level educated. Some of you might have a master's or might be studying for a master's. There are some of you who might be not high up, but like approaching middle level in an office situation. You might be approaching middle level, somewhere like that, right? But yeah, you're not working that particular job so that you can progress in it, even though you are progressing in it. You're not working that particular job or that particular career to progress in it. The only reason you're progressing is because you have a thing about doing your job and doing it excellently. It doesn't matter whether you're passionate about it or not. So if you have that attitude towards something that you're not even passionate about, I think it goes without saying that when it comes to something you are passionate about, you will absolutely take it to the next level. But one thing that unites both of these sides of you is that when you have a job to do, when you have work to do, you will do it excellently. Excellence is your byword, okay? Excellence is the thing that you live by. And no, you're not a perfectionist, because a perfectionist is anxious. A perfectionist is ego driven. No, you're not a perfectionist. You know that you're not always going to win, but also at the same time, you see nothing wrong with always wanting to. So when you lose at something, or when you don't get what you want, instead of feeling sad about it, you take it as a learning opportunity and think, okay, what can I do next? You're the type of person who can turn every situation to their advantage. So that's the second thing about you that is really, really important, pile two. You're the kind of person who can take every single situation to their advantage. And the reason for that is because, as intuitive as you are, your logic is sharp. It's incredibly sharp and it's incredibly objective. So your intuition tells you something, but then your logic will step in and find ways to justify what your intuition is saying. But because your logic is so sharp, it leads you to making very precise movements. Okay? Again, this is not like about perfectionism or caution. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just that you know, passion and precision have to be in the same bed for you. They have to be in the same bed, at least having a dialogue, if not in their proper place. Passion and precision for you are important. Both of them are important. It's not either or for you. So that's why, regardless of the situation that you find yourself in, you will do an excellent job, because it's just who you are, pile two. So given that, what is your personal brand? Your personal brand is aspirational. It is rooted in excellence. It is, it is the kind of brand that will propel forward career-wise. You're communicating to your future employers potentially that you're not planning is to stick around in the office, okay? You're communicating to future employers that you will have plans beyond them. I don't think that will necessarily hurt you either. You're communicating to future customers that you can offer them a way out of an undesirable situation. You communicate that without meaning to, but that's exactly what you communicate through who you are as a person. You communicate to future lovers, don't bother bring no nonsense over here. Don't bother do it. Because again, it's one thing for you to be perfectionist and ego driven, and it's another thing for you to be excellence based. An excellence based person is not going to put up with substandard behavior. They're just not. Okay? And what you're communicating to your friendships is that actually you're very loyal. You're very loyal, and you will support your friends, especially when they find themselves wanting to progress. Because this is the thing about you, pile two. As strong as you are and as intimidating as you are, you're very fair. And you're not about to make false judgments about people, or judge people based on arbitrary nonsense like their looks or their, anything like that. You judge a person by how much they want to succeed in life, by how excellent they are. That's how you judge people. You also judge people by how noble they are too, because there's something about you, pile two, that's very noble. There's an honor code. You take that honor code seriously. Like I said, pile two, you have that integrity. The honor system is important. So whoever is going to be in your life, friendships included, they have to have that same honor. Okay. What I'm getting here is that you're not a lone ranger. You don't mind working with people. Again, you're not ego driven. It's not that you don't have an ego, you're just not driven by it. So you can work with other people, you can cooperate, you can be part of a group. When it's necessary, you can step aside and let somebody else lead. It's not difficult for you to do. But when the time comes, you can lead. It's just that whoever is going to be behind you, taking instructions from you, they have to be quite patient, because you're not going to just, you're not an emperor type of personality. You're not just going to rush ahead and hope for the best. Everything that you do is careful and calculated, especially when it comes to anything that's not involving creative stuff, or, it's very careful. Like I said, there's precision in what you do. So whoever is subservient to you, or um whoever is your subordinate, um you're not going to lose your temper or do no cut, no type of nonsense like that. You don't get drunk on power in a leadership position, but you do take your time in making decisions. So they have to be very patient with you, and especially seeing as you're very objective in a lot of what you perceive. Like I said before, your objectivity means that you don't judge people on anything arbitrary. You judge people on their merits, and you judge people on the quality of their character, on their moral fiber. So pile 2, your personal branding. When I get a personal branding for you, I get high quality spirits. That's what I get for you. I get like a high quality, like a really, really good, really high quality whiskey, or a really high quality glass of wine, or maybe good, a good glass of port. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. It's heady, it's weighty, it's flavorful, yeah, and it tastes good, but it's of excellent quality. That's the branding that I get for you. Now, when it comes to your fields, what are you working in? Some of you might work in finance, some of you might be, part of the corporate ladder, but I don't think it's just that. I think some of you are entrepreneurs as well. Some of you might even be artistic entrepreneurs, but it's just the way that you organize yourself that sets you apart from other creatives. Because like I said, you've got a heavy creative side. I'm feeling like some of you pile 2, you might be working in a really good job, but have a side hustle that you've poured all your experience here into. That's what I see for you. I see something corporate. I see something financial. It doesn't have to be that though. It can simply be like you're in a relatively senior position somewhere, and you're pouring all of your expertise from that into your side hustle. Because not only are you talented in the thing that you want to make a side hustle in, you also carry experience from this job or this career that you've been in for years or maybe even decades. So yes, I get like a really strong whiskey, like strong, flavorful, or brandy. I'm going to say brandy. Really strong brandy, like beautiful, beautiful quality, very strong, excellently made. That's you. That's the branding that I get for you. Okay, so that was a pile 2. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. If you chose the amethyst, you are pile 3. Okay. Now let's see what we've got for you, pile 3. All right. Here we go. We have got 7 of swords, the 4 of swords, the Knight of cups, Iseult, undying love, Atete, worthiness, and miracles. Okay, let's see what we've got for you, pile 3. Okay. Now, let's see what we've got going on here. First of all, I'll get a swig of lemonade. Forgive me, this microphone will pick up everything, so forgive me for this. Okay. So, if these are your cards, you are creatively talented. Like there's emphasis more on creativity than anything else. You're creatively talented. You're desirable. You're charismatic. You're charming. You're very independent and you can hold your own, but you'll defend others when necessary. You just don't like being subservient to anybody. There is a huge emphasis among this pile on fashion, beauty, and interior decor. Okay? Being real, you like to look good. You understand? You like to look good. Okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you really don't like being told what to do. It takes a lot for you to trust somebody else, especially with this card right here. It's not that you think other people are untrustworthy. That's not what it is. You just don't like being told what to do. You cannot be told what to do. It's just very, very taxing for you to be told what to do. You like to have as much autonomy over your life as possible. And you like to call as much of the shots in your own life as you possibly can. I'm going to be real with you. I shouldn't say this, but that can get in the way of your opportunities sometimes. And that can get in the way of your wealth sometimes. If I was to make one suggestion for pile 3, it's not about whether or not you can trust the other party. It's actually about whether or not you're getting something out of it. I feel like you should focus more on the former than the latter, because truth be told, I know I'm going to sound really cynical saying this as a tarot reader, but you can't really trust anyone fully. You know, as I tell you to just trust my psychic intuition, like, no, you can't trust anyone fully. You cannot. Okay. Not if you're smart, but you have to think about what decisions you make that will buy you the most time. And I feel like sometimes you can lack that clarity and you can lack that foresight to know when something is going to benefit you, because you're so just strongly independent and you want to do for you and you want to be free and you want to, you know, go where the wind takes you. You know, I feel like sometimes you curb yourself in terms of your earning potential, but also in terms of your potential in relationships. Because being real, you're free spirited because you want to preserve yourself emotionally. You have a very low threshold for stress, if you're really honest about it. You have a low threshold for stress. When it comes to doing stuff that's exciting or doing something that's out of your comfort zone, that's a more controlled stress, if you catch my drift. If you're doing something new, you're trying new experiences, it's a more controlled stress. It's not a stress that is out of your control. But when you love someone and they're hurting, it can feel like something that you're truly out of your depth with. Do you understand what I mean? Your low emotional threshold may be the thing that holds you back. You like to progress forward. You like to move on quickly, right? And you like to be free. You don't like to be tied down. So it's a low emotional threshold that might hold you back from your earning potential and from you really living up to your branding potential. You know, thank God you lot are good looking and or stylish, because boy, like, it's like, but if anything, the fact that you are so attractive and that you are so charismatic and charming, that might actually make a bad problem worse, because that, you know, nothing hurts you like having people infatuated with you and them feeling like you've wronged them or slighted them. It can create problems in your career. So my thing is, you have to learn to trust people more, and you have to learn to be more emotionally vulnerable. I think that you love people more than the average person. And I feel like that's why you find it so painful to experience it. I think you know better than anybody what love is and what love is supposed to be, and that's why it hurts you. Yeah. With this now, I feel like you do attract really good opportunities to yourself. And when it comes to this, I don't think your self-esteem is a problem. I think you know you're worthy of your good opportunities. But again, in order to make the most of the multitudes of opportunities that you end up getting, not only because you're charismatic and attractive and honest, but also because you are just so in tune with life's magic. You know, because we've got this is for magic as well. Like, you're so in tune with life's magic that things come to you very easily. Opportunities, people, all of that, it comes to you very, very easily. But where it falls down is your inability to actually be vulnerable and let other people have an input. Do you understand what I mean? It's problematic to be too independent sometimes, and this is coming from me. I'm queen of independent over here. It wasn't always like that, but it is like that now. Okay, so your personal branding, what are you communicating to future jobs, future bosses? What you're communicating to your future jobs or future work is that you're freelance. You're hired on a case by case basis. You are self-made. You will be self-made. You will be highly autonomous, which is good for independent contractors. Are actually good for like businesses to save money. So you're putting out there that you will come there, you will do an excellent job and then leave. And it won't be too taxing on anybody wishing to employ you. So that's what you're putting out there. Not, I make it sound so bad, but you know what I mean. You're communicating that you're freelance. You're communicating that you do things on a case by case basis. What you're communicating in your career is that you represent somebody who is like, you represent beauty and freedom. And that is what so many of us crave. So you represent an image of beauty and freedom, almost like beauty and freedom in a bottle. Like, that's what you communicate to your future audiences and your future customers. When it comes to future lovers, you may be communicating that you're here for a good time and not a long time. And when it comes to future friendships, you're communicating that you are the one to go on parties with, you are the one to stay and have jamming sessions. If you're a musician, you might be communicating that you stay and have jamming sessions. You're the one that, to light a blunt and have vibes with, nothing too deep and nothing too heavy, but like light a blunt, have the vibes, just chill out, relax, you know, have that good energy going. So that's what you're communicating. You're communicating beauty, good vibes, and, lots of new experiences, taking risks on things. People find that exciting. And the fact that it's wrapped up in such a pretty package, I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Really doesn't. Does not hurt at all. That you're pretty, or that you're charismatic, or that you're attractive, it does not hurt. It really doesn't. Okay. Some of you might even be wealthy as well. Might come from old money. Some of you. There are others of you who might come from, a relatively middle class background. You might have like a little bit more disposable income than the average person. Only with you, you're more likely to spend it on looking good and having fun rather than being too future orientated, let's say. I get Samantha Jones vibes from some of you. Your pleasure is everything. Your pleasure is serious business. Okay. The image that I get for you, I was going to say matcha, but I don't know if that's accurate because matcha is health conscious. You know, when I think of the self-care girlies, I think of matcha. Um, but I think a better representation of your brand would be boba tea. You know, it's fairly quote unquote exotic. I know that word is problematic. It's fairly exotic. It tastes good. Well, for some it tastes good. For others, it's an acquired taste. And it, most importantly, it looks good. Do you know what I mean? It's a taste of something different, something that you haven't tried before, but it looks good. And it especially looks good on your Instagram feed. So I think boba tea, that's your brand. That is what I think of when I think of your brand. Beauty and exotic nature, free spiritedness. That's what I think of. Yeah. So let me see. I think that's it for pile three. So yeah, that was it for you, pile three. I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know in the comments. Oh, hang on. No, before I go, I've got to get into your professions. I mentioned music. Could be music that you're into. Could be art that you're into. Art people are even flightier than musicians. Like from my experience anyway. Um, I don't think you guys are writers. I do think you are either in art or music. I think some of you might take on odd jobs while you're working on your passions. I think the odd jobs are more towards traveling than your passions, but yeah, that's what I see for you. See some of you working in clubs or bars. I see some of you working, I don't know. It's just you flip from place to place, so it's hard to kind of pinpoint where you would work. But yeah, you kind of live by the seat of your pants, if I'm honest, well, by the seat of your trousers. You kind of live by the seat of your trousers or the seat of your leggings. So yeah, when it comes to professions, it's difficult to pin down a precise thing. But I feel like, again, creatively talented. So it's likely to be something creative if you're pile three. Okay. Let me know if this resonates with you, pile three. Once again, that was the Amethyst crew. Yeah, let me know in the comments. So peace and blessings. I love you guys so much. Bye bye, my darlings. Okay, pile four. This was the Healing Pyramid crew. Okay, so let's see what we've got for you, pile four. We have got the Star card. It's not the first time this Star card has come up now. We've got the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, we have got the Death card. We have got Freya. Oof, have mercy. We have got Ngame. I'm getting a very, very bold picture of like number four's boy. Oof. And the beloved. Ooh, woo. Hold on. Hold on. Pile four, I'm getting some really powerful energy from you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so pile four. Okay, first of all, you transform easily and you transform quite often. You're constantly changing along with the zeitgeist, if that's the right terminology to use. You're constantly changing with the times. You adapt to and change with the times so perfectly that you might even be invisible at first, but then people get to know you and they get to know the special quality that you have. But you are a transformative being, okay? I'm not going to hold you. Pile four, you are pure passion in a bottle. You are unashamedly sexual, you're free spirited, and the way you express that might not be as typical. You know, you might not have, if you're a woman, you might not have your titties out or your ass out, but you might be very sexually frank, and you might know very much what you want, and you might be a very sexual being, in the sense that, you know, your sexuality is not a stereotype. Your sexual nature is not a stereotype. It's just very frank, very honest, very open, very unabashed, and very free spirited. You know, your opinion on sex is very fluid and it's very non-judgmental. Okay, so that's the second thing about you. Um, the truth of the matter is that, again, you seem invisible at first, but then on closer inspection, you seem to have everything. There are people who might look at you and think that, on the surface, she seems so ordinary, but then when you really get to know who she is, she seems to have everything, or he seems to have everything. You know, they're talented, they're intelligent, they're strong, they're this, they're that, they're all the other. Like, when people actually get to know you, you come across as the kind of person who truly has it all. Not necessarily in terms of, material things like beauty or wealth, but you seem to have it all in terms of presence and intelligence and talent and capability and power. So I feel like it's a very Saturnian thing. Like there's a wall of invisibility and there's a wall of ordinariness that's concealing incredible grace and power and even attractiveness. I feel like you are the textbook definition of a rough diamond. I think you're a rough diamond. I think you are more precious than you appear. And I think that your branding, your personal branding is perfect for a Cinderella story, because somebody like you lends perfectly to makeover stories and getting your happy ending or becoming more powerful, like rags to riches tales. I think that kind of encapsulates you perfectly. And it's weird because like your personality is so bold. It's so out there, but people don't really see you until they get to know you and they realize, oh, okay, this person's not something to fuck with. Like, this person's got it. Do you understand what I mean? But they have to get to know you first to know that. So there's an element of the every woman who's hiding something special about her. I'm thinking of Sally from Practical Magic. And the thing about you, Pile 4, that really intrigues me, and I'm not going to hold you, right? The thing about you that really intrigues me is that your enemies see your specialness before you do. They see the magic that you hold inside you before you see it. So it can be difficult for you to act upon your potential, because all you're thinking about is trying to placate your enemies long enough for them to leave you alone, but they don't want to leave you alone. What your enemies will do, Pile 4, is that they will keep prodding you and prodding you and prodding you and prodding you until you reveal the magic and the incredible nature, the power that you hold inside of you. They will keep prodding at you until you reveal that. And they don't realize they're doing it. They don't realize that's what they're doing every time they try to chip away at you. But what they're doing is they are revealing your power every single time they chip away at you with some bullshit. What they're doing is they're revealing your inner power, your inner grace, your inner talent, your inner badass. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. That's what they're doing by picking away at you. And again, they don't realize they're doing it. They think they're defeating you, but they're not doing that. Like I said, your personal branding is a Cinderella story. It's just that your particular brand of Cinderella, instead of being, the quiet, shy girl, who doesn't say boo to a goose, instead of being the traditional Cinderella, You're the Cinderella who's loud. You're the Cinderella who's loud and bold and, who might do, things that don't appear to make sense. But when they really sit down and talk to you, you talk a lot of damn sense. Okay? That type of Cinderella. You're the type of Cinderella who's wild curly hair and, loud voice and kind of abrasive. That's the type of Cinderella that you are. And then the more people pick away at you is the more the true power that you have is revealed underneath. Again, that was never your enemy's intention, but that's what they end up doing. You do have a Cinderella story. You do have a story to tell. And you're so bold that people, the irony is that people are always watching the quiet ones. You're so loud that they don't see you coming. Okay, I kind of hit myself with that one. I kind of felt that one. My God, like, because everybody's watching the quiet ones, because you're so loud, they don't see you coming. They don't see you coming at all. It's weird. Let me have a look at this. All right. I think, first of all, there's a magnificence about you that's being uncovered. And then on top of that, I feel like when there are times of great transformation, when there are times of great upheaval, that's when you shine. That's when you really come into your own. When there are times of massive change and massive upheaval, that's when you really come into your true power. And that's when people start to see you. I feel like some of you were held back by family members. I feel like, again, you had enemies. You have enemies everywhere. Why should your family be any different? But that's because they saw the power in you before you did. But sometimes that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm sorry, Paul. I'm sorry. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Sometimes the more people fear your power and try to stamp it out in you, is the more they manifest it. Okay? Now with this right here, unleash your adventurous side, take risks and be daring. I feel like you're bold, but you're not necessarily daring. And I feel like you need to take more chances. You need to take more chances. And if you get pushback, understand that all that pushback is doing is unleashing what people fear you becoming. So you get pushback because people fear you being powerful. But understand, if you get pushback and if you're faced with obstacles, all those obstacles are doing is pushing you to reveal your greatness. That's all it is doing. That is all it is doing. So you have to remember that, and you have to be willing to take more risks with your life. Powerful, okay? With this, I feel like, yeah, there are two types of people who truly see you. Your enemies and those that everybody else deems powerful. Those are the two types of people that see you powerful. With this, you know exactly what you want, and you're quite willing to work hard for it and go and get it. But again, you need to take more risks. Okay? So yeah, I feel like your story is a dark Cinderella story. And I don't mean dark as in evil. I mean dark as in realistic. You, yeah, you're going to be the underdog your branding is the underdog who turns good. I feel like your branding is dark chocolate with chili. If I had to encapsulate your branding, it's dark chocolate with chili. There's a bitter surface which leads to a spicier and a hotter. When you bite more into it, it gets spicier, it gets hotter, it gets more flavorful. So on the surface, some of you might have a bitter life, or might be in a position where you feel invisible. But the more obstacles you come up against, that's the more your power is revealed. You have a dark Cinderella story. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean evil, because, you know, a lot of you are actually quite noble in your way. It's just that you are going to be the rags to riches tale, or the Cinderella story that nobody was really expecting. That's what I see for pile fours. Yeah. Because instead of being quiet, shy, and retiring and just keeping your head down and working, pile four, you're kind of loud and all over. You're kind of loud and all over the place. But you're like, it's, but that's because that's the exact precise reason why people don't see you. And if they can't see you, how the fuck can they stop you? Okay. Now, what kind of job have you got? Some of you might be following in your family's footsteps. Others of you might be working somewhere that is community based, or you might be working somewhere close to your neighborhood. It could literally be anything. It could have been market stores like the one I used to work on, like for my own little change. It could be working in a shop, could be working in a library, like it could be a local thing or something connected to your family, following in your family's footsteps. That's what I see a lot of Pile 4 doing. And whilst you're doing that, behind the scenes, you may be building your power base by incorporating your passions into your private life. And then when the time comes, I feel like that passion and the depth of your talent and the depth of your capabilities and even the depth of your attractiveness, that will all be revealed in time. Another thing is that I feel like when some of you find yourself in really vulnerable positions, that's also when you shine. Instead of you being, I feel like when you're not in situations that are extreme, Pile 4, and this can be your Achilles heel. When you find yourself in situations that are not extreme, you can feel a bit anxious because you're waiting for the scales to drop on either side. So it's a constant teetering experience that you feel in everyday life where there are not extreme circumstances going on. But when there are extreme circumstances going on, even if you find yourself on the vulnerable end of it, that's where you shine. I can't lie. That's where you shine. And that's where people really begin to see how powerful you really are. Yeah. And how determined you really are. So, my suggestion to you is to keep working on your passions, keep working on your passions behind the scenes. Don't worry too much about feeling invisible, because quite often, if you're not visible to your enemies, remember, you are visible to powerful people. If you're not visible to people who can't stand you, you're also visible to people who have a higher level of power that other people have agreed to let them have. So you're visible to your enemies, but you're also visible to leaders. So don't feel bad about feeling like you're invisible to everyone else. I'm not saying that everyone else isn't important, but appealing to the masses is not your road. That's not your brand. Your brand is to appeal to those who see your power. And remember that anger, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm gonna borrow from Stan Edgar from The Boys now. Anger is a useful tool in your branding. If you are able to utilize the anger that you foster in people to make yourself money, fucking do it. And make your brand based on that. I've said it before and I will say it again. What is it that people hate about your art? I'm not talking about quality. Quality is different. Excellence is different. But what is it that people hate about your art? Whatever it is that people hate, make that a part of your brand. Utilize anger. Anger is a resource. Anger is a resource. Use it well, powerful. Okay? So yeah, to summarize, you are the dark Cinderella story. You are the one that goes from being, invisible or put upon, but then you find your power. And you will find it through powerful people, through other powerful people. That's how you'll find it. That's how you'll gain it. If you're a musician, you'd be a musician's musician. If you're a writer, you're a writer's writer. That's how you gain success. That's your personal branding. So that was it for pile 4. I will see you guys in the next one. And thank you for joining me. Let me know in the comments if it resonated with you. Peace and blessings. Bye bye, my darling.